Salutes. Salutes, y'all. Yeah, another day, another walk, another. So, ain't too much happening out here today that's been catching my attention. It's just the same stuff, man. And it gets kind of boring talking about the same stuff all the time. You know, religion, politics. But that seems like the thing that's holding us back. That's keeping us, caught up. Religion and politics. If it wasn't for religion and politics, man, we wouldn't have any problems. We wouldn't have any problems. Because it seems like everybody else got their shit together when it comes to that. There's very few things that, that don't deal with religion and politics. I mean, self-preservation, that's about the only thing. And I see a lot of people doing what they have to do to survive. But it's still so fucking destructive. Still so destructive, man. And we can get past those destructive parts and this religion and these politics, we'll be good. I was saying that a bunch of people look at these elections as their opportunities to make a difference. Put the right person in the federal government as president, But believe it or not, the federal government presidency has nothing to do with us. Has nothing to do with us. That's why it's not decided by us. That's why it's decided by the electoral. So when you vote for a president, that vote goes to your representative. And your representative looks at those votes and they're like, oh man, the majority of the people, my constituents, are, agreeing with this candidate. But I agree with that candidate. So am I going to take in consideration what my constituents say? Or am I going to react the way I want to react? And y'all know the answer to that. They don't give a damn about what you think. You get these people in office, these local governments, they don't give a damn about what you think. You've already done them their justice. You already gave them the position of authority, so they don't have to listen to you. They are the authority figures. See, and that's because we get these people in office and don't monitor them. Who's monitoring these people after we elect them into these local offices? Nobody. Nobody's monitoring. You know why? Because out of sight, out of mind. Most of them got there by cheating. Most of them paid to get there. Most of these jobs that they got in these positions, like alderman, mayor, governor, are just stepping stones to get into the Senate and into the presidency. So why do you think they're going to listen to you once you put them in the positions of authority in the government, not over you? And see, this is why people don't take offense to this shit. It's because they feel like, well, I got him in the government, so I did my job. No, the job's not done. If you helped get somebody into office, that means you are a supporter. And supporters support policies. So you are at fault for things that are going on in your local environment, which extend out to the federal. Now, the only reason why we go through most of the shit with these prices and inflation and stuff like that is because we ain't recognizing that most of these governors, senators, and mayors, they're all in on it. This is making them big money right now until they can't make big money no more. You see, that's why the gas prices haven't gone back down to 98 cents. That's why food hasn't dropped back down. It's never going to drop back down because people aren't holding their local governments accountable. When your gas prices fluctuate in your town, one gas station is offering 4 cents off, one gas station is offering 5 cents on. What do you think is going on? You think this is happening because gas and oil is expensive? No, That shit costs the same thing, maybe less, maybe less. When the imaginary inflation kicks in, you know what they do? They start telling people, you're not worth as much as your work puts out. So they make it so that these people that are working for these oil companies and these food industries feel as if, what I'm producing is not worth what it used to be. And that's stupid, man. If you're picking fucking cherries, right? And one day the price is 99 cents a pound. And then the next day it jumps from 99 cents to $1.20 a pound. Who's controlling the price? Who is inflating that price? The person that's selling it. Not the person that's buying it, the person that's selling it. And they're getting the leeway to do this because, believe it or not, all of these businesses are part of guilds. Like the business guilds. This stuff really exists. They get together and have meetings. These guilds exist in each city, each state, and it's all over the country. There's no city, there's no state that doesn't have a business guild. And some states and cities have multiple business guilds. They control the prices. So when they come in and they say, hey, today my cherries are 99 cents a pound, I want to raise the price because I'm in competition with A business across town, and B, my local business here, business around this town. So in order to compete with the business across town, I have to raise my prices to get better at earning like the business across town. And that makes every business in the local area raise their prices as well. They're all looking at each other. And see, the way that they do this is they pick some small, isolated business that's charging an arm and a leg for a product that's not really freaking expensive because they're the only business in town that's producing it. And they do this in the outskirts so people can't see this in the main cities. So they can say, well, the fair market value of this product is this. And it's based off on, a variety of businesses that's selling this. And see, the way that they do this is they can't deny it because who's going to say that it's not doing that? Who could say that these people, these guilds, are saying that they can't do that? Nobody. Nobody in these guilds are saying that you can't raise your prices. You know why? Because they're getting kickbacks. They're making money as well. Half the guilds are controlled by businesses. They're not controlled by a third-party operator. They're not controlled by somebody that's a disinterested party. No, they're controlled by the businesses. So the businesses get together in the commercial field of that city and that town, and they make up the prices. And they do it based off of prices that they see locally and that they see nationally. And that's not how the way things work. If you put somebody in the office to keep prices fair, the prices should be based off of what that local economy is. Because every state has its own GDP, gross domestic product. And if they're producing more of something and the price is low, that gives them reason to raise the value of it, to raise the price of it. Because now it's over influx of it. So there's no demand for it. So raise the price since there's no demand for it. And then once the demand comes back for it, now the price has risen and you have to pay that higher price. It has nothing to do with inflation, has nothing to do with the government, the federal government, it has nothing to do with shipping. Believe it or not, a lot of people think that most of our products are created overseas. Look into it, you'll find out that most of your products aren't created overseas. Most of the parts come from overseas, but not the product. Most of the shit that we have, like TVs and stuff like that, they might be created overseas, but when they come here, they have to go through some type of conversion. And this is what people don't understand about that. Overseas, all the electrical devices are ran by 240 volts. Here in America, 120. So when we get a TV from China, you best believe it's not going to be 120. It's going to be 240. So what do they have to do? They have to convert it. If not, the TV comes here in pieces and it's being put together here in the United States. So I don't understand why people don't get this shit, that we think that everything we see on TV and hear on these news and these investment firms be talking about is real, man. That shit's fake. They're using propaganda to trick you into spending more money. And see, we have the control of that because we decide what we want to spend. It's not rich motherfuckers that's out there that's making these price adjustments. It's poor people, because there's more poor people than there are rich people. So we decide if we're going to pay the price of this shit and accept the price increase. We decide that. Not the rich people. They can afford to pay it, but there's less of them paying for it than us. They can go and buy their shit straight from where it comes from and convert it themselves. They don't need us to do that. So when we're looking at who's responsible for high prices, it's us. We put these cocksuckers in office. We decide that we're going to pay the prices. We don't deviate from buying gas when it's over $4, when not even 20 years ago, it was 99 cents. Not even 20 years ago. So what happened over that 20-year period that caused gas to go up? Did we have a shortage of oil? Did we have a shortage of natural gas? No. Niggas accepted the price hike. They didn't revolt. They didn't go against the change in the market. They didn't think that it was important. And now we're suffering for it because gas is steadily going up. And they do it every 2 years. They raise gas up permanently every 2 years. And they've been doing it since the early 90s. They raise it up 2 or 3 cents. See if people are going to get disturbed by it. And then they leave it there. And then they say gas prices are going up. And then they do what? They drop it down a couple cents to just pacify, the masses, the ones that are actually seeing that they're artificially raising and are increasing the price. And then they say, hey, because of this situation is the reason why it went up. If we can stop that from happening, then we can cure our gas price, our gas prices. We can have lower gas prices. And then we look and see that the whole issue that they said it caused the gas prices didn't have anything to do with it. When they first rose gas up above $2, it was because Katrina. It was because Katrina came and they said a lot of refineries down south got destroyed. And look, how many years has it been? Those refineries have been repaired, put back into action, making and producing more gas than we've ever produced and made. And we've got so much that we're sending it to other countries and shit. They don't tell us that. But the thing is that the price never went back to its original price. It never went back down to $2, below $2. Because that was the game all along. And see, the people that are selling the gas, we think, they wouldn't do that to us. They wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't freaking tell us that gas prices were because of the shortage. They would tell us the truth. They would sell us the gas because they love our business. They love our patriotism. No, they don't give a damn about you. These people aren't patriots. They're economists. These people are economic pirates. These people get into the system and they change things for their benefit, not for ours. And because they change it, they have the ability to change it back. And what do? We sit on our hands and say, gas prices because of federal government, and not even looking local where we should be looking. And this is why shit like this go over our heads. Because nobody's paying attention to their local government. Everybody's paying attention to the federal government, thinking one person is going to solve the problem for 50 states all at one time in a 4-year period. That's bullshit. Trump ain't going to save shit. None of this shit was caused by the federal government. This shit was caused by the states. Each state has its own GDP. Each state has its own fucking gross domestic product. But what do? We look at the federal government. How much money they giving to the migrants? Man, these migrants aren't getting any money from the federal government. They're getting it from the states. And the states are betting that the federal government will refund them, will reimburse them for what they're giving to these people. In the form of what, you ask? Not money. Because if it was in the form of money, then they would just get it from the federal government in the first place. In the form of incentives. And this is what we don't understand. Each state pays taxes. Each state is a business. So when a state comes time to pay taxes and they don't have enough money to pay their taxes, guess what they got to do? They got to go into default. That means the money that they were going to get as a return from the federal government gets held back until either they pay their taxes or that money becomes the payment for the taxes. And we're talking about billions of dollars. We're not talking about no hundreds, no thousands, no millions. We're talking about billions of dollars that's at stake right here. And see, every time a state gets approved for funding, which is a tax refund, right? A tax refund from the federal government, right off the top, the higher ups in the government receive a bonus. Because guess what? They got the state the money. So isn't it fair for them to get a little bit of it? Yes, it is. These people are on the books for making $25,000, $30,000 a year. That's not even, that's like minimum wage. You think they not gonna fucking skim off the top a couple 100,000, maybe $1 million for themselves? Because they've been doing all the work, they in their mind? You don't think that they're gonna take something for themselves? And call it a what? Operating expense. For what? The state. An operating expense for the state is to give the senators, the governors, the mayors, the trustees, the aldermen, to give them a bonus. Because after all, they're working for the state, aren't they? So those bonuses, if we check into them, because they're not accountable on payroll, they're not even accountable on federal income tax. So how are you checking into them? You can't. You can't. You can't check how much money these people take off the top for bonuses and perks and benefits for themselves when it comes time for them to get reimbursed, which is a tax refund. When it's time for them to get funded by the federal government, we can't monitor that because we don't know how much money the federal government is giving them. It's a trade secret. It's a trade secret. But the secretaries and the treasurers, they know how much these guys are getting from the federal government. And see, the reason why all of these guys are getting money from the federal government, it's because the federal government is a clearinghouse for companies, for corporations. The United States is a clearinghouse for companies and corporations. It's not a damn nation. The United States is just an entity. It's like a cashier. When you go to the store, you get items, you pay for them, and the cashier, if there's any change left over, if you gave them cash, they give it back to you, right? That's called change, right? But you still get the value of the money that you gave them in those products that you bought. And that's the same thing the federal government is. It's a big cashier. It's a big cash register. And every state is buying goods, especially foreign goods, through that market. And the federal government is just there to make sure that payment is received and change is given. That's it. So when we do our taxes, individuals, we're paying taxes not to the federal government, we're paying taxes to the state. The state accumulates those taxes, issues out refunds if those are allotted, right? And it depends on how much they allotted for each citizen, because your tax return is not a tax return on the money that you gave them. It's an allotment for each citizen. Each citizen has an allotted amount that they get from the government based on what? Whether they work or not. Why you think it's different from the amount that you give them? Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. So every year they allot you some money to give it back to you, so it doesn't seem like you're being taken from, without any repercussions or without any reward. So when we pay our taxes, we're paying our taxes to the state government. The state government keeps that money and then distribute the refunds, and then the rest of it either stays in the coffers or it gets sent off to the federal government for what? Exchange. And then whatever's left over is given back to the state as change. Now, if the federal government says, hey, they pay this much and we are allotted to give them this in return, even for more, then that's what they do. But we got to stop acting like these people aren't at fault for what's going on here. Local government is the reason why this shit is happening to us. How can you go to California and gas is fucking $5, $6, but then you come to freaking Alabama and it's $2, $2.30, $3. How is that possible if gas prices have gone up? And we can't say it's because of population, because in California, the more people you have, the more money that's being put into a resource, which makes it what? Just like I was talking about earlier. It makes it what? It makes it less valuable. So the more people buying gas, right, we should bring down the gas prices. You know why? Because gas is in a shortage, and also more people are buying it, which makes it what? The value of it, but cheaper. Now, if there was only one person buying gas, then yeah, I can see why gas would be, expensive. Because the value of it just dropped. Because only one person's buying it. We have all this gas, but only one person's buying it. So that one person that's buying it, let's find out if they're obligated to buy it. And if so, let's raise the price on it. And that's how they're doing it right now, but on a grand scale. Tell you the truth, the way that they taught us about economics does not work. The more you have something that's readily available to people, the cheaper it should become. Not the most expensive. The cheaper it should become. Because now it's a household name. Now it should be something that's readily accessible, not hard to make, easy to obtain, and quick to freaking, pass on to another person. That means that it's less work for the commodities that we produce. Like gas. Everybody buys gas. Why isn't gas the most cheapest thing for us to buy? You know why? Because it's artificially inflated. And it's done at the local level. And since it's all ran by guilds, then they're not going to fucking tell you that they're artificially raising the price of it just to make it seem like it's a valuable commodity when it's not. Shit, you got people that are making gas and diesel out of plastic, making it out of corn. So it's not coming from the same sources. But the price keeps coming up. That means that there's a monopoly on this shit. If the price keeps going up, that means that somebody's artificially inflating it when everybody's using it. Because see, now they see that, hey, everybody's buying the shit. We should make it more expensive. So they become dependent on it. And now they're obligated to buy it because now it's become something of a household name. And that's what gasoline is. Everybody in the world knows what gasoline is. That means that gasoline is not a rarity. So why does the price keep going up? Artificial inflation. And it's done locally. That's why different states have different prices. But we're blaming it on one source. We should be looking at ourselves and stop fucking buying gas filling up our cars. Just buy what you need to get from point A to point B. And that would stop a lot of this shit, because people that are using gasoline, they usually buy it for luxury, not for necessity. Stop buying gas for a luxury and buy it as a necessity. If you buy gas for work, price out how much it's going to take you to get from point A to point B, back and forth to work, and stop traveling at the same fucking time periods. People go on these holidays, everybody on the fucking highway. Why? Because they feel like, hey, this is a tradition, and they're using that shit against your dumb ass. They're using this shit against us. On Christmas, bro, stay at fucking home. Don't get on the highway. You got the whole fucking highways packed. Christmas Eve, the day after Christmas, you know what I'm saying? The day of, people is where they supposed to be, which is indoors. But don't fall for that shit. Don't fall for that shit, because they hike up prices around holiday seasons. They hike up prices around seasonal seasons. Summertime, why gas prices go up? Because they know more motherfuckers gonna be out on the road. In the wintertime, why prices go down? Because they want to encourage people to get out on the road. See, this is the thing that we don't understand. It's psychological. It's all psychology. They're using our dumbness and ignorance against us to take advantage of us. And on a large scale, I hate to say it, a lot of us are dumb and ignorant and can't see the truth from a lie if it slapped them in the face. And this is why these politicians who learn just basic psychology have the ability to control so many ignorant, to control so many of us. Basic psychology, man. Opposition reflex. If I allow you to push me and then I give you some resistance, what are you going to do? Push harder. I could just be using you for momentum. And this is what dumb animals do. Dumb animals don't realize that their force can be used against them. See? Look at people that do martial arts, especially martial arts like Aikido. They know about momentum. They know about using somebody else's force against them. And this should be a sign. There should be a movement behind this. All the Aikido instructors and all the Aikido masters should be talking to people, telling them, the harder you push against the federal government, the further you're going to move them, but in the direction that they want to go in. You don't realize that your force is being used against you. It shouldn't be pushing. It should be pulling. It should be pulling. We shouldn't be forcing the federal government to do anything. We should be pulling the federal government in our direction, meaning that we should be holding prices at a certain time. We should have our own holidays. When right around Christmas time frame, we should have no drive holidays. Don't drive. Don't go buy shit. That fucking Black Friday shit would have been done and over a long time ago. But no, you know what happens? You get a bunch of dumb people in a frenzy talking about there's going to be cheap or low prices, and none of the prices are cheap. None of the prices are low. We get fooled every fucking year, at least the people that go for this shit. Black Friday prices. And then they put some idiot on TV talking about some, yeah, prices were generally low this year. You know, we bought a lot of things off with a little bit of money. Motherfucker, if prices were low, they wouldn't have to be on one day for a limited amount of people. That's stupid. You don't see that they're playing you. They're playing us like a violin. They got us in a frenzy. They got us acting like, hey, we're getting something out of this when we're not. If prices are low, they should be giving away shit. Why Black Friday don't have no Black Friday giveaways? Why is it always sales? You know why? Because they know how to manipulate our dumb asses. They know how to manipulate us. And instead of giving you something for something, you get nothing for something. And that's how it works. And that's how it's always going to work until we get our head pulled out of our ass and stop pointing the fingers and start looking at who's actually causing this shit. And I hate to say it, it's us. Salutes to the real ones.